Greetings, and welcome to another edition of Hour in Atlanta. I am your host, Asadu the Informer, and this is my lovely co-host, Nikeba, the Tribal Leader. Today we will be discussing Islam in America, and I'm glad to have on our show Sister Ma'at Tut Sint Ma'at and Brother Akmos Ray Amun. Thank you, and welcome to our show. So please tell me, Brother Akmos Ray Amun, how did Islam get in America?
In and about the year 1745, Islam was being brought over here by pale Egyptians, pale Pakistanians. One being Hassan al-Banna, who was a pale Egyptian. The other one being Ghulam Boga, who was a Pakistanian. They started coming over here in around that time, and basically they were against the right of, once you got the Pan-Africanism, Pan-Arabianism, they were against the right of Israel getting the right to become a state by the United Nations. The whole thing was to bring over this new type of religion that could be used on the people who have been suppressed for a certain amount of years, 400 years, 300 years, etc. So it started coming over around in the year 1745. That was the beginning of Islam coming over here. But by the time it got over here now, it had already been watered down, tampered with, diluted. You see what I'm saying? And the original teachings had been taken out, and they were living by what's called Sharia, or laws and hadith. And hadith is pretty much the same as the Gospels, the four Gospels, the sayings of men and not the words of Allah that come out the Quran.
That's American. So what is our story in Islam in America? I mean, because I know it got to Nubian, and I see a lot of brothers practicing Islam, but they don't really do the same thing. So really, what is our story, and how do we really fit into the parameter of Islam today?
One thing we don't fit into is the form of Islam that's being brought over here to us as our religious way of life. That doesn't fit for us. The pale Pakistanians and the pale Egyptians, their images and their teachings don't fit with us. One thing Islam has is that they have what's called the Rabi, the unseen deity. Okay. Also, with Islam, images are haram or forbidden. But in their hadith, they will imply that Muhammad had pale armpits or white armpits. So if you have white armpits, then the rest of the body must. So it's subliminal suggestions that are put there. You see what I'm saying? Imply but not imply at the same time. To put an image there, but at the same time not put an image there.
And basically, I think that a lot of us gravitate towards Islam when we have, I guess, just gotten fed up with Christianity.
Right.
Okay, and we think that we're adopting something new, but it's still Christianity under a cover. All right, but a lot of times that's why we go, or the militancy involved as well.
That's true.
So we talked about Islam earlier. You all was here on another show when we talked about Islam. And I would like to how does it correlate with the other religions? And what is the similarities between other religions and Islam?
Okay. Well, first of all, Islam comes out of Egypt. And that's why in America today, it doesn't really serve a purpose for us because it doesn't give you no images. You can't have no images in Islam. But if you go to Saudi Arabia, you'll see the Fossil family and the Fahad family, the big old, bigger than life-size pictures. Egyptians always overstood that they were the deities. You have to understand that. Islam comes out of Egypt. The deity Hu is mentioned in Islam as Allahu, or He, Who. In ancient Egypt, we said Hu, He. Prostration, all the positions of prayer are found on the walls in Egypt. You see what I'm saying?
And it's covered up. I mean, so we think it's separate and a different part, but when you look even into the holidays, and then you do your research, you see a coalition or a similarity to that which they say one has nothing to do with the other.
And to also interject on what you were saying, brother, about am I pronouncing that, the Rebi? Is that correct? The unseen God. If you also go to Colossians 1:15, it also talks about the unseen God. Jesus being in the image of the unseen God that Moses saw on the mountain.
The unseen that you see.
Again, more confusion.
And I was going to ask you about Noble Drew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What were their intentions, or what were they trying to do with Islam in America?
Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was striving to, I guess, bring his people to a different level outside of Christianity. Okay, even though it was based on Christian doctrine because really he never taught us how to speak Arabic because he could not.
Okay.
But it was an introduction to a different way of life, disciplines, just trying to clean you up,
Okay.
getting you ready.
So what language did Muhammad speak if he didn't speak Arabic?
With the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I thought
He
you were talking
spoke
about
English.
Okay, I apologize. Okay. Yeah, well, okay, I knew that. Okay.
Okay, is Islam the true Nubian's way of life?
Now that you see it
No.
today, that's the whole point. It's been distorted and destroyed. And what you see today, and understand that you can say you're a Muslim today, it's not very safe to do. Webster has their definition of Muslim, and it's associated with terrorism. Sad to say, but it's the truth.
And they do terrorist acts.
Right.
You know, under the name of a religion, it's supposed to be about peace. You know,
Right.
So they
I mean,
distorted it.
is it that blinding? I mean, really, because how could you say that means peace and then you would get on the airplane and hijack someone?
You have
and
men,
put a pistol
you have
to
men
their head?
stepping in to do Allah's bidding.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? If the Quran tells you not to never kill a believer, that's the one thing they do. So then why are Muslim countries fighting each other over the same book, the same prophets, the same Allah? You have men stepping in. And Islam and most religions, the thing is don't question. You start asking questions and you present information that they can't answer. That's when a lot of
They
the
wanna
problems and
kill you.
conflicts starts. You see what I'm saying? Instead of if a person is blaspheming Muhammad or Allah, then let Allah take care of it. Why do you have to have assassin groups, etc., to come out and do things? You see what I'm saying? Because they're living by the words of men, not by the words of Allah. It has been distorted from its pristine purity. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So if you look at Islam, it's coming right out the Torah. Everything that the imma, the azaba, or the turban was worn by the priests of the Levitical priesthood, the wearing of the
Circumcision.
imram, circumcision, Abraham, the imram, the seamless garb was worn by the priest of Amun when they made their pilgrimage going around what became known as the Kaaba or the circling the cube, where the priest of Amun had done that 1,000 years back, shaved their head and everything.